Stanford University.
Source of all life, eternal spirit of beauty and truth, at this time of new beginnings, we ask blessings upon each transfer student and each member of the Stanford class of 2017, and upon all those who have been and will be part of their lives. May they, in a poet's word, drink life to the lees. May they come to know cities and manners, climates, councils, governments, and themselves not least, but honored of them all. May we have sufficient inspiration to launch forth courageously into realms now unknown, exploring, inquiring, challenging, and appreciating as we educate and are educated. At the same time, may we all do so with generosity and a willingness to support each other as an extended community called Stanford. Students and professors and staff, parents and children, colleagues and friends. May we then learn to reach out from here to the greater world beyond, kindling a passion for justice and for the enhancement of life itself on all of this planet Earth. And may we do so with enthusiasm and joy, remembering that those who make the worst use of their time most complain about its shortness. Amen. I'm pleased to introduce a person about whom I imagine each of you feel very good now. The Dean of Admission and Financial Aid, Richard Shaw.
President Hennessy and trustees, deans, faculty, staff, parents, and guests, we are assembled here in this historic quadrangle to celebrate the 123rd convocation of this great university. And to the class of 2017 and to the new transfer class, I say, you have arrived at long last. And I want to hear just how great that is. Go Stanford! Go Cardinal! Well, that was great. And welcome. I want to begin with a simple fact. I love a great story. It's one of the privileges of being an admissions officer. And in your applications to Stanford, each one of you wrote a story from your life, of your hopes, of your dreams, of who you are, and who you hope to become. Today, I want to tell you one of these stories from the class of 2008. And the telling of this story begins on August 6, 2012, when NASA's Rover Curiosity landed on Mars. For a young mechanical engineer on the Mars Science Laboratory team, it was an impossible dream come true. After graduating from Stanford in 2008, Aaron Yazzie joined NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and subsequently began work on Curiosity. Aaron designed tools for Curiosity's robotic arm that allowed the rover to collect and analyze samples from the surface of Mars. What was the result of this analysis? Scientists concluded that Mars once had the potential to support microbial life. The scale and the import of this discovery is just plain thrilling. And Aaron played a crucial role in the work accomplished by the Mars Project team. This young mechanical engineer's story, however, did not begin August 2012. It started when Aaron was a high school student in Holbrook, Arizona, population 5,800, the seat of Navajo County and gateway to the Petrified Forest, about as far as you can get from NASA and a jet propulsion laboratory. Not to mention the planet Mars, which at its closest is 33 million miles from Earth. For a young Native American student, the distance between the two stoplight town of Holbrook and Stanford University might well have been just as far. But Aaron Yazzie was talented. He had a puckish smile and a cheerful outlook and a capacity to dream big. He was encouraged to apply to universities outside of Arizona. He took a chance on one and 4 years later graduated with a Stanford degree. For both the rover Curiosity and the young mechanical engineer, distance traveled has been impossibly far. Against all odds, far. Define conception, far. A distance traveled. This is what Aaron has, and this is what we saw in your story. A record-breaking 38,828 students applied to Stanford this year. 1,679 of you are matriculating today in the class of 17, joined by 28 transfer students. You come from 49 states. Arkansas, we miss you. And 66 countries. 15% of you are the first generation in your family to attend college. Literally and figuratively, this is a distance traveled. We have made no mistakes about your admission. None of you is a mistake to this great institution. You all deserve to be here. So this is what Aaron has also, and this is what we saw in your story. What else did we see in your story? We saw the potential for you to travel and to explore impossibly far for over the next 4 years and beyond. At Stanford, the opportunity for distance traveled is exponential, and the freedom of opportunity is limitless in our ever-expanding universe and your own intellectual curiosity. I also want to say with profound depth of feeling that you will travel the farthest, perhaps even to the planet Mars, when you follow the curiosity that dwells in your heart and mind. Discover what makes you happy and follow your heart. Well, your story would not be complete without the family and friends who loved and supported you in your distance traveled. Let's acknowledge them. And look at them, too. We are thrilled that you're here, and we can't wait to read the next chapter of your story. Thank you very much. I now have the honor to deliver you to the Stanford undergraduate schools and to the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education and Professor in the Humanities, Harry J. Elam, Jr.
Thank you, Dean Shaw, for your remarks and for bringing to Stanford this amazing new class. As Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, and on behalf of the Stanford faculty and staff, following the ritual of convocation, it is my honor to accept you from the Dean of Admissions and welcome you, class of 2017 and transfer students of 2015 and 2016, to Stanford University. Now, students, I know you can feel the excitement in the air. And I know you're probably sitting there a bit antsy, ready to move on into all that lies ahead. But please, take a second with me to savor this moment, to breathe it all in. It's finally real. You have arrived. You are indeed here at Stanford. Wow. This is Stanford. You stand now on the threshold of an exhilarating and often exhausting time of invention and discovery, when truly anything is possible, when your personal hopes and ambitions, your intellectual passions and beliefs, your sense of self and of the world can all be nurtured, enhanced, and advanced. We know that you've been waiting with anticipation and perhaps some anxiety for this day to come. Well, we hope you will discover that Stanford is and will continue to be well worth the wait. Think of all that's happened already. You've had people whom you've never met before shout out your name and help you carry boxes up the stairs, all in the spirit of kinship and of Stanford community. You've seen and started to decorate a room you will live in for now, but remember for a lifetime. You've received your Stanford ID and perhaps silently admired your picture on it. You finally met your roommate. No more need to worry about who they are or where they're from or whether they approve of your comforter. And this is only the beginning of your Stanford journey. For this transformative adventure can and will take you to new intellectual heights, expose you to fresh territories of introspection and reflection. The limits of your expedition extend well beyond the classroom for what happens on the playing fields and in the laboratories, on theatrical stages and in the dormitories, on community-based research and in music rehearsal rooms is critical to the process of learning here at Stanford. Without doubt, this is not a one-size-fits-all adventure. No need to walk in someone else's shoes. Rather, you will be able to find your way to innovation, whatever your major, to discover new directions according to your compass. This is an education steeped in tradition, but focused on the future, rich in breadth of possibility and committed to rigorous, concentrated study. This is Stanford. And as you undertake this journey, you will discover for yourself that particular mix of a small college experience with the rigorous critical engagement of a large research institution that characterizes Stanford. From day one, you will have the possibility of working closely with our world-class faculty members, not simply in learning, but in the production of new knowledge. For we have also been optimistically anticipating the ways in which you will challenge and promote new thinking. Stanford is a school that cultivates truly new ways of thinking and makes unprecedented investments in education. This is a place where invention and innovation regularly emerge from people under 30. So we don't buy into the traditional educational hierarchies of the old and supposedly wise, imparting knowledge to acolytes. We trust you already have wisdom within, and we want to help you to cultivate it to your highest potential. Yes, this too is Stanford. At Stanford, we create our own intellectual secret sauce, combining tradition and reinvention. For us, diversity, and I mean diversity of all kinds, is not a catchphrase, not a cliche, but a fundamental educational practice. We realize that difference is critical to excellence. That inclusive pioneering spirit and entrepreneurial energy that founded this university more than 120 years ago still characterizes it today. This is Stanford, a place where your individual dreaming can lead to world-changing realities. Parents, families, friends, I know that this is a day that is probably bittersweet. I suspect that while you're profoundly excited for these students and the opportunities before them, you may feel a pang watching them leave today. It is almost as if this day, so long awaited, has somehow come too soon. I know too well how you feel, for I am one of you. I today also moved in my daughter and only child, a sophomore transfer. She's sitting out there now with her mother. As a parent and as vice provost, I want to reassure you that you need not be afraid to let your children go. For Stanford is a place that works diligently to provide a nurturing, supportive, and strengthening environment for your children. From this day forward, they and you are members of the Stanford family. And so, to our new and treasured students, this is your moment, and this is your Stanford. Embrace it, enjoy it, relish it, make it your own, and do not hesitate to let it remake you as well. For rest assured, Stanford will change you, and in turn, all of you will make Stanford a better university. All of you are now Stanford. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce our student speaker, Ms. Jessica Anderson.
Thank you, Vice Provost Elam. Be yourself, play it loud, raise your voice, shout it out. Be yourself. Voice, shout it out. I remember where I sat during convocation my freshman year. I was in the very last row, in the very last seat in my section. And I slipped out of the ceremony as soon as it finished and wandered around campus, thinking to myself how wonderful it would feel to be student speaker one day. how fulfilling it would be to know that this prestigious institution recognized me as someone who was worthy to speak on its behalf. And then I remember the thought that came after. My singing was my most memorable trait in high school. Here, at best, I could sing the school anthem. Before coming to Stanford, singing was one of the primary things I had been known for. I had 6 years of experience, 4 musicals under my belt, and a diverse repertoire to support me. Singing was my voice. It was how I made a mark at my school. So when I came to Stanford, I assumed that singing was the only way I could forge an identity for myself. It would help me belong. But belonging is hard when you feel that your presence is unjustified. And I felt like my race, class, and religion alienated me from the sea of faces around me. So I sang to feel connected to the Stanford community. And I sang day in and day out. I auditioned for groups, I sang down the quad and in White Plaza. I sang until all I knew was singing. And I sang as if it was all that I was. But that was not enough. One day I overheard a Stanford admissions officer tell a group of students, "Let me reassure you all of something. You deserve to be here. Not only do we believe that we have something to offer you, but we also know that you have something extraordinary to offer us. Let's discover what all of those things are together." What all those things are? What other extraordinary things had I left to discover? What other voices could I have on this campus? And how can those voices be heard and explored? These are some of the thoughts that prompted me to apply for the Stanford and Washington program, where I took one of my favorite classes thus far. 2 practitioners from the Department of Education taught a course on education policy that revealed to me how strong policies in education reform could strengthen the academic experiences and ultimately the voices of others. That class revealed to me my own passion for education and encouraged me to engage in opportunities on and off campus. So I began tutoring students through the Haas Center for Public Service, and I interned at the Children's Defense Fund, where I not only was able to advocate for reform, but I also registered voters for the 2012 election. I began to find ways to use my voice to raise other voices. And all the while, I continued singing when and how I wanted to. I found a way to embrace all of my voices. So maybe your story isn't about singing. Maybe you were a member of the robotics club, a volunteer for a community service organization, school president, or a school mascot. The questions still remain. What are all of your voices? How will you use them? How will you explore the ones that have been silenced before? And how will you discover the ones you never knew existed? You have a world of experiences ahead of you, and a world of opportunities awaits you. Do not miss them, believing that your voice is not strong enough, is not sure enough, is not like everyone else's. Your voice is as powerful as the next, and it has a place here. On the mock trial team, in the spoken word collective, on the football field, or in the mechanical engineering department. Your voice is as powerful as the next. So find your stages, create your mics, and raise your voices. Thank you. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Stanford University President, John Hennessy.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for those inspiring words. Parents, transfer students, and members of the wonderful class of 17, good afternoon and welcome to Stanford University. Today, we celebrate the arrival of 1,679 new freshmen and transfer students. Dean Shaw talked about the many extraordinary talents of this class and why, after an intensive review process, we selected each of you as individuals to be Stanford undergraduates. What he neglected to mention was that there are in this freshman class 2 students whose parents were once my students. It's a reminder of how generations here at Stanford connect from one generation to the next. And to the freshmen here, some years in the future, you'll be back here for a reunion, and you'll be sitting on this very quad on a Thursday evening, having dinner with people who are now your very best friends in the entire world. And I see that happen every year at reunion. It's a wonderful part of what it means to be part of the Stanford community. In thinking about the start of a new school year, I've often turned to books that I have read over the past year for inspiration. This summer, I was traveling to St. Petersburg for the first time, so I decided to embark on a journey with Robert Massey's Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Peter the Great, His Life and World. At 928 pages, including notes and index, the book was indeed a journey. But I can tell you it was an enlightening and truly pleasurable one. I read biographies a lot, and I read them primarily to gain insights about leadership and living an impactful life. So I started Massey's book with a simple question. What made Peter the Great great? To start, neither his tendency towards heavy drinking nor violence was conducive to his goals of modernizing Russia. When he was crowned in 1682, Russia was truly more medieval than modern. Peter's military conquest certainly played a role in enabling him to found the city of St. Petersburg. But his truly great accomplishment was transforming a medieval country into a modern, scientific, and European-oriented country. How did Peter the Great, who did not have the benefit of the kind of education that you will have, prepare himself for that role? When Peter, at the age of 17, terminated the regency of his mother, he was urged by the head of the Russian Orthodox Church to ban all foreigners from the country, as well as eliminate their customs and any other external influences. But Peter did the opposite. He imported European leaders and chose to learn from them. He did not yet know where he would take Russia, but he knew he needed to know more about the modern world to the West. I hope that as you prepared for this day, you also took some time to contemplate what you are searching for in your undergraduate education. I don't mean to suggest that you need a well-defined life plan that takes you from this quad to the presidency of the United States or the IPO of the next Google. If you have that plan, that's great. But you should be open to changing it and welcome new influences. Either way, your undergraduate education should prepare you first and foremost to be a cultured and useful citizen. This was one of the goals that Leland and Jane Stanford set for the university when they established it. How can you maximize the benefits you will gain from your time at Stanford? I have several suggestions based on my 36 years as a member of the Stanford community. First, get to know a faculty member and get to know them personally. Our professors have a passion for learning and a desire to share their knowledge with others. And alumni have told us that getting to know a faculty member was one of the most rewarding aspects of their Stanford experience. Second, take advantage of the opportunity to explore new directions and areas that interest you. Broaden your education. One of the events that most shaped Peter's life was a year-long tour of Europe that became known as the Great Embassy. During that tour, the Tsar of all Russia traveled, largely incognito, meeting people and observing how different societies lived. Just as Peter learned from exploring different cultures, I encourage you to explore new subjects and interests. For example, through our Introductory Seminars program. Each of these seminars is led by a Stanford faculty member and enrolls no more than 16 students. This year, there'll be introductory seminars on a wide variety of topics, from Mark Twain to nanotechnology, from the Roman Empire to horse medicine, from the art of living to the Rwandan genocide, and from modern energy systems to inequality in America. These small group seminars are a wonderful opportunity to get to know a faculty member and a new subject. I encourage you to get to know the faculty outside of the classroom as well. Use every opportunity to discover why they are passionate about their scholarly pursuits. While I love giving an exciting lecture to a packed classroom, my greatest enjoyment comes when I meet with a small group of students at a dorm or in my office to talk about research, ask for career advice, or to seek help on a difficult topic. My third suggestion is to get to know your fellow students. They are one of the most incredible assets you will have for learning and growing as a person. Over the next few years, you will meet students whose experiences, culture, or beliefs are different than yours. You may find that your own values and beliefs are challenged. I hope that you will discover a new understanding and appreciation of our pluralistic society and develop your skills in interacting with people quite different from you. Take advantage of this unique opportunity to learn from a group of very talented and capable people, your fellow students. Next, I would remind you that Stanford is not only a great educational institution, it is a great research university. I encourage you to take advantage of that. Take courses and attend seminars that explore the frontiers of fields where new knowledge and understanding are being created. For me, participating in research as an undergraduate led me from my major in electrical engineering to my graduate major in computer science. And it ignited a passion for learning and being on the edge of discovery. This passion sustained me through my PhD and continues to excite me after 36 years as a Stanford faculty member. Being on the forefront of discovery, taking part in the creation of new knowledge, is an immensely rewarding and life-altering experience. Peter the Great was also a big believer in experiential learning. He foresaw the importance of creating both a navy and a merchant fleet in a country that had rarely ventured on the open seas. But he knew that Russia lacked the skills needed to build ocean-going vessels. So he spent several months in Holland learning how to construct a ship by actually building one. There, the Tsar of Russia engaged in manual labor, learning how to use axes and chisels and hammers to build a ship. It was there that he learned the skills he later needed to oversee the construction of Russia's first large-scale boatyard. Experiential learning is an avenue for growth. And at Stanford, you can have such experiential learning opportunities through community service at the Haas Center, through the Bing Overseas Studies program, through undergraduate research, or through a variety of courses from the arts to engineering that teach and develop creative opportunities. The important thing is to be open to such possibilities. Peter the Great faced a number of challenges in his life. A mother who was very reluctant to surrender her authority as regent, church officials who opposed liberalization, and King Charles XII of Sweden, the great military leader of his time, who, in their first encounter, crushed the Russian army. During your time at Stanford, you will also face new hurdles and challenges. You will not always be the most talented, smartest person in every single class. And you will likely encounter subjects that you find truly difficult. I urge you not to shrink from these hurdles, but to experiment and take intellectual risks. Challenge yourself with courses in disciplines that are new to you. And should you occasionally not succeed, do not become disillusioned. Just be sure to learn from your mistakes. As you begin your time at Stanford and plan the next few years, I urge you to remember that your undergraduate education is first and foremost a foundation for life. It is much more, so much more, than the ticket to your first job. It is a once-in-a-lifetime journey, like Peter's great embassy. It is an opportunity to develop the skills and passion for being a lifelong learner in areas related to and outside of your future career. So our request is simple. We ask that you become an enthusiastic member of this academic community. We ask you to take advantage of what Stanford will offer, to have the determination and conviction to make these next years with us a springboard to a life lived with passion and commitment. Most importantly, don't settle. Find something you love doing. You'll be better at it, and the challenges that await you later in life will be easier. Ask your parents for their insights, for their guidance. But remember, it is your passion that you need to discover. Your parents already have theirs. I welcome all our new students and their parents to the Stanford family. Students, I hope your time here transforms your lives, just as it has transformed the lives of so many alumni. And finally, I hope your time here will help to provide a foundation on which you will make your contributions to a better future for yourselves and the generations that follow. Welcome to the farm, and thank you for becoming part of the Stanford community. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our two student soloists, Danielle Smith and Andrew Forsyth, who will lead us in singing the alma mater, Hail Stanford, Hail.
If you would all please rise for Hail Stanford, Hail, Stanford's alma mater. We're going to sing the song twice. First, we're going to sing alone so you guys can learn, and then we'll sing it again, and you're all welcome to join us. The words are printed in your programs. Where the rolling foothills rise up towards mountains higher, where at eve the coast range lies in the sunset's fire, flushing deep and paling. Here we raise our voices, hailing thee, our alma mater. From the foothills to the bay, it shall ring as we sing. It shall ring and float away. Hail Stanford, hail! Hail Stanford, hail!
Thank you. Now please join us as we sing it again.
Where the rolling foothills rise, up towards mountains higher, where at eve the coast range lies, in the sunset's fire, flushing deep and paling. Here we raise our voices, hailing thee, our alma mater. From the foothills to the bay, it shall ring as we sing. It shall ring and float away. Hail, Stanford, hail! Hail, Stanford, hail!
Thank you. Please remain standing for the benediction.
Surrounded by arches of stone and the embrace of community, inspired by creativity and conversation, accompanied by seekers of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, may this new class in Stanford's rich and robust history, together with those who love and celebrate them, go forth to an adventure of learning and listening, go forth to an exploration of community and consequence, go forth to a cornucopia of gifts and gratitude. Source of wisdom, you who have blessed us with intellectual curiosity and unbridled opportunity, grant us as well discerning minds and open hearts, that we may use our knowledge for righteous purpose and our promise for creating a world worthy of your trust. May our study be sweet and our learning be lively. Amen.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.